Hey everyone, welcome back. So today was a fun day, wasn't it? I mean, Bitcoin was down nicely. It bottomed out at like what 59,000 something, or like 58,000 something. RSI went way down. Miners were down. Then we got great news from Riot and Bitfarms. They made up. Actually, I'm kidding. They didn't make up. Riot and Bitfarms are still going back and forth against each other. We have also news from Hut 8. They got investment from Coatue. Coatue, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know exactly, but $150 million investment from Coatue on an HPC play there. So we'll get into that. We'll get into Bitcoin. We'll get into the miners. We'll get into what's going on with Bitfarms and Riot. It's a lot of back and forth between the two companies. But I'll give you guys my thoughts on it all, as always. And we'll call it a day. We'll get into the Q&A side of things and be done with it. So thank you so much for coming in here. And then, as always, this is not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. I'm invested in the following companies and coins. For full disclosure, hit the like button if you enjoy this type of content. Helps me out tremendously. Subscribe also if you want to be notified. Hit the little notification bell as well. But let's get into Bitcoin here, because Bitcoin had a wild day today, man. And also for full disclosure, I did buy some more Bitfarm shares today on the dip. So I bought an additional, about 100 one price, 100 another price, and 100 shares of another price. But all in all, I bought like 300 shares of Bitfarms today. But Bitcoin has, as you can see here, has been trading downwards ever since basically the beginning of June, Friday the 7th. We've been on this kind of downward spiral here for a while. And then finally today we had this nice kind of bottoming out maybe in Bitcoin at this current point that we're in. If we look at where Bitcoin is now and where we're closed, actually, we closed at 60,254. So that might be a pretty good sign. I was hoping that we would come down, at least once we broke through this, the 60,000 mark or 61,000 mark as our support potentially. I was hoping that we'd possibly, as the wick continued to go down, like, man, I hope this thing goes down to like 57,500, somewhere around there. And that might be where our next support is, and bounce off of that. It came pretty close. It got all the way down to, where to get 58,414. So pretty close to that. Not too far away, about 1,000 away from it. So we got close. RSI came way down here as well. RSI came in now at, where did it come in at? Let's see here. RSI was down to 25.64. So that's pretty definitely low on the daily chart. It looks like it's overbought. And then the last time we were this low, we have to go all the way back to, gosh, like last year on the way we were this low. It was basically in August of last year. Yeah. And Bitcoin at that point was only at, where was that boy at? It was at 26,000 roughly. 26,000 at that point. So we're way up from where we are, right? We've had a nice rally here. RSI has come down, it's cooled off. But that doesn't mean that we might be done and over with things, because you can see here that the RSI went really way much lower on it. Here we were at the bottom at 19 RSI on it. But that's that was also in August as well, a couple of days before that. So we might have a couple more days where we kind of trend downward. And if that happens, I think we're going down to the 57,000 mark here, 500, which is the green line over here that we have drawn on it. Let me zoom in on this if I can, bring it in. There it is. Okay, so right there, 57,500 is our possible next support line. Historically speaking, we'll see if that happens. If it does happen, we bounce off of that. That might be a good sign. But right now, Bitcoin's up a little bit in the new day hours. It's up just slightly, 0.6% or so. But the good thing was we had a nice wick down. We came back up. Maybe. I'm just saying maybe this is bottom. But I think I said this in yesterday's video, that I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down even further, test the 57,000 mark, or test the 61,000 mark actually, and then come down. If that doesn't hold, we'll come back down to here. And so it did. Okay, now the miners, for the most part, like 90% of the miners were down today. They were down much more in the beginning of the day. They did bounce a little bit here. But the only ones that were up today was Argo, up 4.67%. You got Hut 8 being up 1.46%. On the day as well, was up much higher a little bit early in the day when the news came out with the Coatue investment. Stronghold was flat, and Wolf was up 1.56%, which I think that might be part of the AI play along with Hut 8 here with Coatue investment of 150 million. But that's kind of the way things worked out. So, like I said, I did buy Bitfarms today. I bought it at, where we were at? $2.76. I bought it at, wait a minute. 279 is where I bought it. 274, and then at 265 as well. But in those ranges right there. Still have a little bit more powder to put into it if need be for tomorrow if it dips a little bit more. But that's kind of what I did. So I just wanted to fill you guys in on that as well. And let's get into the meat and potatoes of it all that we want to talk about. First one's going to be on Hut 8 here. Hut 8 is going to be over here. There we go. So Hut 8 announced today 150 million strategic investment from Coatue to partner in building next generation AI infrastructure platform. It's a little light on details as far as what that platform is going to look like, but we'll get some more details from that later on. Sue and Asher had a X Spaces today. This was at 3:30 in the afternoon Eastern, so it's 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, 3:30 my time. I was able to catch a little bit of it there. They did speak about this. Some people did ask questions as far as what they're going to be doing there. It looks like they're going to be getting maybe the H100s. They have to build out infrastructure, not build out, but maybe retrofit something. And this is all part of that process there. Asher did state that it would still, for them, it would be around 2-year ROI on this. And it's kind of the same thing that we're seeing across the board from a lot of these companies that are getting to the AI space. They're saying it's about a 2-year turnaround time or a 2-year ROI time on this investment. If they buy the H100s, build out the infrastructure and things that are needed for that, we're looking at approximately 2 years on those, or at least maybe on the HPCs. I don't know about the infrastructure, right? But here's what we have. So today, Hut 8 announced that it has entered into a definitive agreement with fund manager Coatue Management, pursuant to which Coatue has agreed to invest $150 million into the company through a convertible note, the note. And then we are committed to supporting innovators, advancing AI, and believe that compute capacity is crucial to unlocking significant growth across the ecosystem, said Philippe Lafont, founder and portfolio manager of Coatue. We believe that Hut 8 is well positioned to accelerate new compute capacity and can optimize on the opportunity it will bring. Okay, so they did provide a little slide here as well, and you can see here this is from Hut 8's. If you go to investors presentations, you will see the slide in here, or the slide deck in here. One of those slides on page 4, it has Hut and Coatue, and then here are some of the companies that Coatue has invested in. And you see here, CoreWeave is in here, OpenAI, right? Those are all big AI plays there. You got a bunch of other companies that I'm not really familiar with, but something definitely worth looking into. See what's going on with those guys there. Canva I'm familiar with. I've used their services before. I'm trying to think who else, but there's quite a bit, right? So this is actually maybe a good fit for Hut 8. Coatue brings in a lot of potential customers towards their way that are trying to get into the AI space and grow their footprint that way. So I think this might be a good thing, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Oop, not there. Where am I at? You're right. Going down here. Many traditional data center operators are failing to meet the surging demand for AI compute capacity due to power shortages, long lead times to bring new capacity online, and the extensive upgrades required for the existing data centers to support the latest generation of high-density compute. Hut 8 believes it can leverage its proven ability to develop and operate complex energy infrastructure to address unmet demand and emerge as a leader in AI infrastructure markets. This to me is a little questionable as far as Hut 8 being a leader. Right? If you remember, they bought the facilities from Validus that went into bankruptcy. And I'm on the call today on X, basically Asher kind of alluded to that it's expensive to operate those, and they might be worthy of AI, right? HPC, where you have better profit margins there potentially compared to Bitcoin mining. So they may transition to those. But, that was kind of one of those things where they bought it because it looked like it was a depressed asset at that point, and they thought that maybe they could use it for Bitcoin mining, or maybe they already had plans for the HPC side of things as well going forward. We don't know, but they haven't done anything with those in over, how long have they had these now? Almost like a year now. I think they got them in fall of last year. So they have those facilities there that could possibly tap into this, but he did state that they were expensive to operate, and there are other players in this space, not in mining space, but in power generation that probably have better operations and things like that. So that's something to note there. And then also the note will have a principal amount of $150 million and bear an interest rate at 8% per year, compounded quarterly. So this is actually pretty good interest rate. 8% is not bad. It's actually pretty good. The note will have an initial term of 5 years, subject to extension for up to 3 years, for 3 one-year extension periods at the option of the company. Interest of the note will be payable in cash or in kind. At the company's option, the note will be a senior unsecured obligation of the company and guaranteed by Hut 8 Mining Corp., a direct wholly owned subsidiary of the company. Okay, let's see here. Coatue will have the option to convert the note into shares of the company's common stock, subject to certain limitations. The initial conversion price of the note is $16.39 per share of common stock, subject to certain anti-dilution adjustments. the conversion price, which is approximately 45% premium to the 10-day VWAP through June 20th, sorry, the day prior of the signing of the note purchase agreement. Okay, so that is definitely a premium. I think that's why the stock kind of went up on that based on this note here. Other than that, I mean, all in all, I think this is good news, right? This is good news for their HPC side of business things. They have other business segments as well. They have high performance computing, they have hosting, and they also have AI, right? The AI side of things, or not the AI side of things, sorry, the Bitcoin mining side of things, it seems to be going kind of away for them for a couple of reasons. One, I spoke with Coatue today from Hut 8 a little bit on Twitter, and I asked her the question kind of blankly, are you guys kind of transitioning out of Bitcoin mining, self-mining, and going more into your other business segments, which include the managed services, the hosting, and now the HPC side of things? And she didn't really answer it. She just said that she will get back to me on that, right? I also kind of asked about why haven't you guys provided the update yet for May, and they said that they're kind of looking backwards a little bit here, or going back a little bit. They're saying that because the self-mining is, I'm guessing, such a small portion of their business right now compared to the other business segments, that they're trying to evaluate what is the best way to provide the information to investors going forward. She did note that mostly it's the retail investors that want those monthly updates. I'm a retail investor. I do want those updates. I also want to see how they're doing, right? And I think it's also, she said, like companies like Coatue, they get, I guess, more details. They understand the company in a different light than retail investors do. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's not. Maybe they have access to different information that we don't have as retail. But it's just kind of sad to see that they might be going away from the monthly production updates, because we've been getting them for, probably 3 or 4 years now from them, probably somewhere around there. From what I recall, if not longer even. They've been around for a long time before they even merged with USBTC. So whenever I see companies that stop providing monthly production updates, it's usually a factor of two things. One, they're in financial trouble, which we know Hut 8 is not in financial trouble of any kind. They got plenty of Bitcoin and HODL. They got plenty of cash. All that stuff is fine. The other issue is that they're having issues with their production of Bitcoin self-mining, because that's really what the market has been kind of tracking here. We haven't really been focusing on the other business segments, right, which are hosted, managed services, and hosting. Hosting typically has brought in very little revenue when you look at it a profit margin size ways. And then the managed services, it's kind of a new thing here that we're kind of getting into, so there has been a lot of coverage on that as well, right? And investors are looking for growth in these companies. And Hut 8 has, I will be honest, has failed to provide any kind of growth in their self-Bitcoin mining over the last 2 years, basically. Ever since 2022, we haven't seen any kind of increase in their hash rate. The only increase that we saw was when they merged with USBTC. That was also very short-lived, because after that, they took out a bunch of the machines that were older, not operating as well, had issues, whatever the case might be. Their hash rate continued to drop, as well as their Bitcoin production has. So from their standpoint of view, I can actually see why they may not provide the Bitcoin mining updates, because if Bitcoin mining for the self-mining is such a small portion of their overall business, it doesn't really make sense for them to do that. And then are they actually getting any benefit from doing that, right? Whereas if you don't provide it, you're kind of limiting the knowledge for the retail investors, but you're also not getting punished for having bad numbers as well. Okay? So I understand both sides of the aisle here a little bit. But nonetheless, I wish they would have done more into the self Bitcoin mining, grown that. Usher has stated in the call as well on X that they are looking into the latest generation miners, maybe not the latest, but maybe the ones just prior, so like the S21 Pros, as we're having the S21 Pros XPs come out now, right? So there's prior generation miners. Those might be more attractive for them to buy. He didn't state that they are going to buy them, but they're just in communication and discussions with the miner manufacturers there. Okay, so I think that's basically it. So if Hut 8 does stop providing Bitcoin production updates for their monthlies, I will have to take them out of all of this here, because it's going to be very hard to track them and compare them to the other miners that are still largely self-mining, right? A lot of the companies that I still track their biggest portion is still their self-Bitcoin mining, and then a portion of it might be the HPC side of business or hosting as well. And then we have a couple, I think there's only one that really does other things as well, which would be like BitDeer, which has Now they're ASIC miners. They got a bunch of different segments, business segments in there as well. They have hosting, self-mining, what do they call it? Shared hosting or something like that. They have different segments of that. So if that happens, like I said, Hut 8 will be going out from my tracking here. And I think that was it. There was something else I wanted to say, but I think I forgot it right now. Maybe it'll come back to me going forward. Okay, that's it. Let's get on to the next one, which is going to be on Riot and Bitfarms Saga continues as well. And then, there was something else I want to talk to you guys about with Hut 8, but I'm just drawing a blank right now. Maybe it'll come back to me. Let's get into Riot here. So Riot today provided that, they bought some more shares, basically. But here's what we got. So Riot requisitions special meeting of Bitfarms shareholders and nominates 3 highly qualified and independent directors to bring urgently needed change to Bitfarms board. Okay. So the question is, how are they independent? They might be highly qualified. There's no question to that. But independent, if somebody nominates you to be on the board, you're going to be kind of loyal to that side, right? In a little way, potentially. So I don't know how independent those directors could be. I think the only way independent directors could be brought in would be if we had multiple number of candidates to choose from without knowing which party selected them for the job, whether it's Bitfarms or Riot, and then we as shareholders get to vote on that side of things. Maybe then it would be impartial and you could possibly know. But this independent thing, I don't know how well that squelches with me here. But here's what we have here. So Riot currently owns approximately 14.9% of Bitfarms, making it Bitfarms' largest shareholder. Notice that they stayed below the 15% threshold that would then trigger the poison pill. So they're right at the very, very edge there. They're trying to definitely poke Bitfarms a little bit here by getting so high on it. But here's what else we have here. So they're calling this special meeting. This will give Bitfarms shareholders the opportunity to vote on the removal of Bitfarms chairman and interim CEO Nicholas Bonta and director Andres Finkelstein, or the replacements, and any individual who fills their current vacancy created by the resignation of co-founder Mariano Grudzinski, who was voted off the Bitfarms board at the company's most recent annual general and special meetings of shareholders, right? So they're trying to get rid of those 2 guys. So you got basically, let's see, I think, was it Nicholas Bonta also one of the co-founders, I think? I know Emiliano was definitely for sure, but I thought Nicholas was also another one. Maybe it's Andres. I can't remember which one. But one of those was also a co-founder there. Because, Riot believes that Misters Bonta and Finkelstein bear direct responsibility for the Bitfarms board poor corporate governance practices and consistent inability to realize Bitfarms' full potential. Riot will also seek to remove any additional director appointed by Bitfarms board after the date of this press release. This is going to be tough. So they have 14.9, roughly 15% of the vote there. So I think it would take basically all the rest of the retail shareholders trying to vote against this or to appoint the other independent board members that Riot wants to put in this place. And if Riot has any of the institutions that have bought into it on their side, that might be a lost case on us, and they might get those appointed. The only thing left, I think, is you would need the board there, the 3 board members that would get appointed by Riot. They would have to sway the other board members there as well to go along with the Riot takeover, right? Somehow they would have to convince them that this would be a good thing, not only for Riot, but also for Bitfarms, right? Whereas right now, me as simple retail investors, I can't see what the benefit is there, other than for us retail investors here in Bitfarms. I can see what the benefit is for Riot, but I just don't see it for me as an investor in Bitfarms, right? I still think Bitfarms is way undervalued, possibly could be up much higher from where it is right now. And if we go with Riot, how will that shake out, right? And also, where could the price of that go? Do we get shares? Do we get cash? How will that all work out? So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it there. They do have, let me see here, the 3 board members here are down below, but they go into here some of the concerns that they have, right? They state here, Bitfarms once again botched the CEO succession process, right? They're looking still for a CEO. Yes, I agree with them there. They should have had a CEO by now. Let's see here. Bitfarms board has been unwilling to engage constructively with Riot. Okay, maybe they have a reason for it, right? If you came in with a lowball offer, but they seem to have been trying to talk with them over the last 13 months. Let's see here. Then we got Bitfarms shareholders have lost confidence in their board. I haven't really lost confidence. I've lost a little confidence in them, but not all of my confidence in the board, because we still have great growth plans going forward. They just came out with another facility that they're getting in Pennsylvania, so they're still working on these things to grow their position in the market here, which is what we want, or at least I want as a shareholder in here, right? Let's see. Riot director nominees are independent, highly qualified, and ready to serve. So here we have John Delaney. John will, bring decades of public policy and government relations knowledge, which is critical to the Bitcoin mining industry going forward, as well as crucial hands-on experience overseeing successful sale processes as a public company. Okay, see, there you go. Overseeing successful sale processes as a public company director. So he has experience in that, possibly swaying the other board members to go along with it. Then we got Amy Friedman. Amy will bring decades of experience helping boards improve corporate governance and evaluate complex M&A transactions processes, possesses a unique perspective from having served as both a public company advisor and a director. Again, okay, so experience with M&As, right? Another one. Let's see here. Ralph, I'm going to be probably butchering his name, and I do apologize. Ralph Goring. I think that's how you pronounce it, Goring. Ralph will bring relevant energy industry and executive leadership experience, as well as extensive public company financial, accounting, and tax expertise, which is integral to any potential M&A process, right? So again, they're really stepping on this M&A process. The one part here is, let me see here. Okay, here it is. As a result, Riot has informed that Bitfarms board that it has formally withdrawn its previous proposal to acquire all Bitfarms common shares at price of $2.30 per share, and stands ready to engage and negotiate with the reconstituted Bitfarms board to pursue a mutually beneficial combination of Bitfarms and Riot. So at least that part is done over with. The 230, they sold in a lot of shares. They want to change the board there. If they change the board, can they change the other board members to vote in the opposite direction in favor of basically Riot? I don't know what will that happen. Let's see. Let's take a look at Bitfarms really quick. See who's on their board really quick. Let's see here. Bitfarms. So if we look at their board members, let's see here. Company, executive team, board of directors. There we go. So we got Nicholas Bonta. He's the interim CEO right now. You got Brian Howlett, Andres Finkelstein, which is the other one that they want to get rid of. We got Eddie Hofmeister, independent director. Who else do we have? That's it. That's all we got is 4. Let's see. If they get rid of those 2 guys, well, then they have a majority in. If they get rid of Nicholas Bonta, Andres Finkelstein, yeah, I mean, that would leave us with only 2, and then they would have 3, so they would have the majority there. So then they don't really need these guys to go along with it. They can just do whatever the heck they want. At that point, they appoint the board and do things that way. I wonder if the board can get more board members. Fill it up with 50 people in there. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. Make it very difficult for Riot to change the board or have it go their way. Let's see, board committees, Brian. Yeah, I mean, we only have really, wow. I thought there was more people on the board there than what we had. Before we had also Emiliano as well in there, so that was 5, and we had also the prior CEO, so that's why I was thinking we had more on it. Okay, so that's a little concerning there. So if they get their way, it might be the done deal anyways. But let me know if you guys agree on this or disagree on it. If that would work out that way, or if they have more board members to go along with it. And then Bitfarms came out with a response to this. So Bitfarms reiterates commitment to strategic alternative review process to maximize shareholder value. No shareholder action requires that this time. This news release don't need to read that. Let's see, but Bitfarms issued the following statement. The Bitfarms board of directors and management team are committed to acting in the best interest of the company and all of its shareholders. In that regard, the board established a special committee of independent directors to conduct strategic alternatives review process to thoroughly evaluate all opportunities to maximize shareholder value. The special committee determined that Riot's April 2022 proposal of $2.03 per share, which represented a 20% discount of the closing price, significantly undervalued the company and offered to enter into a confidentiality and standstill agreement with Riot and provided additional information about the company so that Riot could improve its proposal. Since that time, the special committee has repeatedly invited Riot to participate in the process, even executing the confidentiality and standstill agreement proposed by Riot. The special committee is disappointed that Riot declined to engage constructively and participate in the process, and instead has continued to take the steps to attempt to undermine the integrity of the process and harm the interests of other Bitfarms shareholders. The board and special committee remain committed to achieving the best outcome for all Bitfarms shareholders. The company remains committed to constructive engagement with all shareholders and will review the requisition and provide an update in due course. Bitfarms shareholders are not required to take any action at this time. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, based on this, if they are only 2 board members left over and they put in 3 of their own, it looks like it might be a done deal. But let me know what you guys think of this. I think, for me, this would be a bad thing for Bitfarms. Bitfarms has been on a pretty good track record here lately of just nice growth going forward into this year and into next year. I would hate to see them get swallowed up by Riot, but that's just my take. Maybe I'm wrong on it. Maybe I'm viewing it wrong. But that's what it is. That's the way I see it. So let me know what you guys think on this. I mean, am I way off on this? Am I too stubborn in my ways, too set in Bitfarms, land a little bit here to see maybe greener pastures with the combined companies? I don't know. But just as an investor, I was looking at maybe 5-7x gains here from where we are. With them going to Riot, I don't know if that's going to happen or how that would work out. Maybe that's my concern there more so than anything else. You know what I mean? Okay. So let's get into the Q&A side of things, and we'll call it a day here. Definitely a wild day today on it. Okay. Let's see here. The Shepta boss says, think they were just trying to bully Bitfarms. Yeah, possibly. That it's not a serious offer. Yeah. Let's see. Andre says, yes, a 230 not at $7, but Riot can't afford anything more than $3. I mean, they're overpaying for it a little bit now, but if it gets above $3 or $4, they're definitely going to be overpaying for it. Hank the Tank says, 35x session 2025, we don't need Riot. I think the same thing, right? So I'm not alone with you guys. And Hank says, yes, but 3 won't cut it. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Let's see. Can Achel asks, can BTC go down to 50,000? Gosh, I mean, anything's possible with Bitcoin, but I don't think it's possible now unless we go into like a prolonged dive going down, basically. 50,000 we're at 60, 50,000. I mean, that's 10,000 from where we are right now. I mean, I think the RSI would be way oversold on that point. If we look at the 4-hour chart, it's way oversold as it was. Weekly, let's see here really quick as well. Here's my screen. There it is. On the weekly, we're looking pretty good as well. The RSI is back down to, where is it at? It is at 52 right now. Last time we were on these levels was back here in October of last year. We were at 50 at that point and had a nice rally here. So I'm thinking maybe this is a nice little reprieve that we've had with Bitcoin price coming down and we rally further. But on the daily, I mean, we're just looking way oversold here on the daily on the RSI right now. Well, not way, but we're oversold right now. So I'm guessing maybe a bounce is due for us. But we'll see. Like I said, if that doesn't hold, I think we might be coming down to like 57,000. Then if that doesn't hold, then our next support will be like 53,000 at that point. So we'll see. It'll be an interesting week to see where we go. It still could take a couple weeks before it all gets shaken out. Or we could get a surprise and just rally up higher. No one ever knows. Let's see. Let's see. Nathaniel says, no, you are spot on. I agree. Okay, thanks. Let's see. Hi, Sebastian. How much does it cost more to mine 1 Bitcoin on average? Is there an exact number or estimate out there? Always been curious to know their expenses on that. Seems important to know. Thanks. For Marathon, let me see if I can pull up that sheet here. I did some numbers at the end of Q1 for them. Let me see. Where's my sheet here really quick? Pop that up. And where'd it go? There it is. Okay. Pop that over. Let's see if I can find it in my spreadsheets here. I think it was cost to mine. Was this sheet there? Nope, too far. Monthly break even. I think break even quarterly. Let's see here. I had Marathon at around and this is just my estimate numbers based on the quarterly results they provide and everything else. You also have to take into account that they weren't that operational excellent at that point, right? No, January, February, March, April, their operations were at like 60, 70% uptime. So at that point, it looks like it was coming in around 74,000 per Bitcoin, give or take a little bit there. And that's without share-based compensation, not including their break-even range. So somewhere around there, I would say within probably maybe 10% of that, something like that. Maybe towards on the downside on it. So like 67, 74,000, somewhere around there at that point. Q2 numbers might be different here. And this was after the halving event, I think. Let me see. Yeah, this is after the halving event. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm looking at based on right now. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I'm already back there. But yeah, I'll leave it as is. Let's see here. Let's see here. Mark says, I have to disagree, Sebastian. Bitfarms would benefit massively long term if they join Riot and you still have some potential easily. Don't lose faith. Okay. I mean, you might be right there. I'm not saying that I'm wrong and you're wrong. I'm right and you're wrong, or any other way around. It could be either way. Right. I'm having a hard time getting past that, them being potentially owned by Riot, and then Riot that would make them the biggest company there, sure. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Let's see here. Rob says they can't force the sale. Okay. Christian says, I own both Riot and Bitfarms and agree with you, Sebastian. No deal. Okay, interesting. Alien says, poor Riot, poor run company. I don't think that they run poorly, maybe a little bit. But they've been building out Corsicana for the last, 2 years or something like that. And they have huge potential by themselves. I mean, they have machines on order, potentially, that if they wanted to exercise the options there to get to 100x by themselves. They just need to fix their operations when it comes to uptime at Rockdale and at Corsicana as well. And they're golden there if they can do those things. They just had maybe a string of bad luck a little bit. But you learn from your bad luck or from your past experiences and you move forward and fix those, right? So hopefully going forward, they're going to do a lot better. Let's see. Sarmelon says, has your Open Riot and Bird merger happening changed? Sorry if you already answered. I just joined. Bitfarms, okay, so you're probably using a automated voice to text. It has not changed yet. Riot just owns 14.9%. They want to appoint 3 board members to the boards at Bitfarms, so that's what they're calling for. They also withdrew their offer for the $2.30 takeover of Bitfarms. Yeah, it's a good question. What will happen with my Bitfarms stock if Riot buys them out? I think we're going to get stock in and Riot at that point, I think, partially at least. Let's see, Andre says, agreed, Sebs. Riot has a champagne taste on a beer budget. I mean, they have the money to do it if they wanted to, but it's like, why would you overpay for something that you can build out on your own? I just don't quite get that. I mean, I see the benefit of Riot getting Bitfarms. You have the diversification into the different regions, right? Argentina, Paraguay, Canada. Obviously, they have it in the United States as well, so that's not really a big deal. But you're diversified then, and you have the team, the talent, and everything else that has done it, that has pulled it off to maybe even grow further, right? So you have that experience there, expertise as well, and that's valuable. Let's see. Mahmoud says, all miners are selling like crazy just to stay in the business. Are you saying miners are selling Bitcoin? We'll get the results from June in a couple of days here. Let's see. Gary Pallet says, Seb, were you able to sell all your miners before the end of the bull market? How long do you think this crypto winter will last? I don't think we're heading into a bear market anytime soon. I think this is just a healthy correction. I could be wrong on that, but that's kind of the way I'm seeing things. Let's see. Hank the 10th says, ETF outflows 175 million and a single buy on Gemini for almost 1 billion. Seems BTC is constantly manipulated, potentially. Let's see. As a Bitfarms shareholder, how can I vote against this? This is from Ben. I think they're going to have to send us something on how to vote on it, if that's the case, to all shareholders. So that'll be in the works if that does happen. Let's see here. being oversold, maybe a rate cut in the future election year with Bitcoin on the plate, things just seem bullish for year's end. Yeah, I agree with you there. I have the same kind of feeling. Thanks for the regular update. You're very welcome. Is it a good time to DCA on Riot at less than $9? I think even, I mean, yeah, if you can get it at $9 or less or around, where's it at right now? Let's see. Riot is at 921. I think even now would be not a bad entry point on Riot. I think it's definitely way undervalued. Not, I wouldn't say way undervalued, but I think it's slightly undervalued right now. And that's only because their operations. We need to see Corsicana, Rockdale operating at much higher uptime, all those things. Let's see. Andrea says, I own both too, but more Bitfarms. Yeah, I mean, I don't own Riot. I own a lot of Bitfarms. Let's see. Ryan says, no deal, should have bid for Bit Digital with AI and Ethereum. No deal if I'm Bitfarms. Okay, yeah, I can agree with you there. But the only thing is, Bit Digital doesn't have any infrastructure, right? They're all asset light there. Let's see, Mark says, Bitcoin mining is a zero-sum game, which means being bigger is a huge advantage as the rewards get cut in the next 4 to 8 years. Yeah, so we get another cut in 4 years, another one after that. And yeah, I mean, scale is a big advantage here. If you can get to scale and with these miners, that solves a lot of your issues. Going forward, you can then just kind of cycle out machines as newer ones come in, and you do this continually, and you can have pretty good revenues at that point. And then Nathaniel says, I'm telling you, it's all about the patents that Bitfarms has on immersion cooling. That could be the case too, right? You get intellectual property that way by buying it. But you would think that'd be more of a, and maybe this is just a little jab at Marathon, but Marathon used to be a patent troll in the past, right? So that maybe something in line that Marathon would do to kind of stifle competition maybe a little bit and go after the patents that way. Let's see. Let's see. Seb, I know you don't do Soluna, but would you know why it's up 108% in the last 2 weeks? There's been more chatter about them on X. You've also had Anthony and Bryce talking about them, right? They've been covering them for, I think, the last couple months here as well on the company side of things. So I think it's just people are looking for these maybe undervalued plays potentially. I covered Soluna back in 2022, 2021 as well, I believe. They went into financial trouble at that point, and then they stopped providing their monthly production updates. So at that point, at that time, I stopped covering them. So I think they're doing better. They're still a very, very small miner. Their revenue, I think they're like at 800 petahash right now for the self-mining. They have 1 point something exahash in hosting. And then they're getting now into this AI play, right? Which everybody's jumping on this AI HPC play. And they got, what did they get? They got HPE, so Hewlett Packard Enterprise, I think it is, that signed a deal with them, and they're getting like 20 million or something like that. I think that came out today with them. That's why the stock went up today as well. So there's just these little things that are kind of picking up on the stock on it. Ben says, if Riot's board is so great, why is the operation struggling for months? Good question there. Let's see. So thank you for the reports. Your thoughts on Cypher 3D? Are you talking about Sphere 3D and Cypher maybe buying them out? Or are you talking about Sphere 3D? My thoughts on Sphere 3D, because I think that's what you're talking about. Small miner again, they're a little bit above 1 point something exahash. They're like 1.2 exahash right now, I think. They were supposed to get to 1.8. They never got to that. The highest they got to was like 1.4, I think, or 1.6, and they were down to 1.4. Now they're down to like 1.2 in exahash. They don't own any infrastructure. They were also they were talking, I think, a while back, merging with Griffin at one point as well. Then they had there was some stuff going back to like, what was it, 2021, where we had this new miner come out. It's supposed to be the most efficient one, right? Supposedly Griffin put in like a $1 billion order for machines or something like that at that time. But that never went anywhere. There was just some scam that the new miner folks were doing, I guess, or something. I don't know. But so that got all entangled with them. And they've never been able to really get out of that kind of funk there, I guess. They were able to grow their operations, but they had issues with growing their operations. They were at 100 petahash for a long time. and they finally got things figured out. They had miners and customs. They had just issue after issue. So with no infrastructure and having older machines, I don't know how they're going to survive, to be honest, unless somebody gives them a lifeline there. And Bitcoin might be that lifeline. Let's see. Andre asks, should we be buying more Bitfarms or more Riot? Good question. I bought more Bitfarms today. I don't own any Riot. But if you own Riot, I mean, Riot's price is pretty low right now as it is. Might be a good time to dollar cost average into both. Let's see. Would you have to own a certain amount of Bitfarm stock as a shareholder in order to gain anything from a potential buyout from Riot? I think if you were just an owner of shares of Bitfarms at a certain date, you would get ownership in, I guess, Riot shares at that point, also if it went through. Let's see here. Mark says, Seb, lots of love. I hope you win regardless. Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm not going to cry over this if Bitfarms gets bought out by Riot. We'll see. I'll probably continue to hold the shares, maybe then half of them at least. See where it goes with Riot having ownership of it. But move the rest over into something else maybe. I don't know. We'll have to evaluate things. See, Mark says, I love the dips. I love the rips. Life is great. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm like one of those people that also loves these dips, right? It's a good buying opportunity. That's what I did today. I just wish I had more cash to do more buying. But you got to use what you can. So, let's see. Have you done any analysis research on green edge generation? Yes, I used to cover them also. Going back now, back to 2021, 2022. They were also one of the ones that got into trouble back in 2022. Financially, I think, at that point, if I remember correctly, but I was covering them. They had pretty good growth plans going forward, but they never materialized for them. I have to look at them where they are right now, but they also stopped providing monthly production updates, so I haven't really kept up with them since then. Let's see, speculation. There must be something behind the scenes with Bitfarms and Riot. It's got to be something. I mean, they're both going back and forth and bickering on it. If Riot was going to them 13 months ago, and they haven't been able to do any kind of thing. I mean, where was Bitfarms 13 months ago? What price was it at that point? Let's see. Let's take a look. Where was Bitfarms 13 months ago? Where's Bitfarms? Here it is. Okay, so pull it up on the screen. So Bitfarms going back 13 months, we are going back to basically like May of 2023. And this is December, January, March, April, May, June. There it is, May. So in May, they were right around $1. Right? If they offered $2.30 at that point, I think Bitfarms probably would have jumped on it. They had debt that they were paying off, things like that. They were in a much different position and a much different financial health at that point than where they are right now in this year, right? So it's interesting that they've been discussing this for that long of a period. Okay, go back to here. See, Andre, thank you so much for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Let's see. What would be a good price or range for Bitfarms, to buy price or range for Bitfarms? I think anything right now is still pretty cheap, and the stock is still undervalued in my opinion. But that's in my opinion, right? You have to do your own due diligence. I mean, you have to think about it. That's a big if right now with Bitfarms board. If they get a CEO, they get Riot off their back, and they can continue to grow to 21 exahash this year from where they are right now. That's 3x from where they are right now operationally, right? So that's really good growth there. Then 35 exahash potentially sometime in 2025 as well. Should the stock be valued much higher if Bitcoin goes up to 150,000, maybe 180,000 or 200,000? Yeah, I think so. So I think anything right now is pretty good bargain. Let's see. Shopham asks, should we sell Bitfarms? That is completely up to you, my friend. None of the stuff that I do is for you guys' investment advice. Right? Just kind of my thoughts, what I'm doing, things like that. I'll try to provide you guys some insight as much as I can on these things, but at the end of the day, it's your guys' responsibility to do your own due diligence, look at the companies, look what's going on there, and make up your own decisions where you see things going forward. let's say Riot took over Bitfarms. What does that mean for your Bitfarms stock? I believe it gets converted over into Riot shares at that point, depending how much cash they put down for the takeover, and then what's the remainder that they're going to pay in shares. And remember, Riot just did they added more shares available to them, right? So I think they increased that from, what was it, like 300 some million to almost like 800 million or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. My memory's correct. Let's see, if Bitfarms, if Bitcoin goes under 50,000, half of the miners will not make it. Then Riot will buy 100% Bitfarms. It would have to be for an extended period of time, I think. If it's just like a wick down, that's not the case. But if you're there at 50,000 or lower for a couple months, yeah, it might be troublesome there. Bitfarms has been using the ATM. They have some cash on hand. I don't know how much exactly they have now. They do have a little bit of HODL as well. They could use that to extend their runway a little bit, I guess you could say. Let's see. If miners are leverage play for BTC, what is leverage play against BTC? If miners are a leverage play for BTC, what is leverage play against BTC? Geez, I don't know. That I do not know. If Riot acquires Bitfarms, can they utilize Bitfarms FASB? If Riot acquires Bitfarms, the HODL that they do have there would go basically to Riot, I would think, unless they keep the company separate divisions and do that way, which would kind of be interesting. But then they would be stationed in the United States or headquartered in the United States. At that point, they would be able to take advantage of the FASB rules. Let's see here. Conspiracy theory. Riot's high SG&A has been given out in order to purchase more Bitfarms shares by Riot management in order to bring more votes against Bitfarms. That's an interesting thought there. Could that be the place? Nah. But those usually don't vest over a period of time, I think, right? On those things. And then you would have to basically get the shares of Riot. You would have to sell the shares of Riot. And maybe that's why Riot is down. I mean, that would be something. Let's see. Mark says 61,240. Is Bitcoin starting to go up higher? Oh yeah, Bitcoin is starting to go up a little bit higher here. So that's a good sign there. Maybe we have bottomed. We'll see. Let's see. Andrea says, just let us know when you sell, please, Seb. I'll let you guys know when I start selling. I tell you guys when I buy. I will tell you guys when I sell as well. Let's see. Real says, no more dip. Sadie says, help the channel. Yes, they do. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. Real Rug DIY says, these people have too much money in this to let it drop further. So I'm thinking you're talking about Bitcoin. I mean, there is a lot of money in Bitcoin right now. Let's see. Bryce says, already holding Iron and CleanSpark. What's your evaluation of these? So Bit Digital, Cypher, Bitfarms, BitDeer, which is undervalued and has the best future position, or is it a better option to load up on more Iron and CleanSpark? So I have a sizable position in CleanSpark, not as big of a position in Iron, kind of similar to what Bitfarms is for me, based on those four. So Bitfarms, Cypher, Bit Digital, Cypher, Bitfarms, and BitDeer. I would say if you're looking at the most potential growth here going forward in this next 6 to 9 to maybe 12 months, I would think Bitfarms is that one because Bitfarms has the most hash rate growth happening this year, and then into next year as well compared to the other miners. So if you're looking at something that may have an impact with Bitcoin going up in value, I think that would have the biggest impact. But I could be wrong on that. Hank the Tank says, thank you, Sebastian. Thank you. You're always very welcome, buddy. Have a great night. You too. Let's see here. CREP 80 asks, have you seen Hive's numbers yet? No, they're coming out tomorrow, I believe, right? I just saw the announcement today that they're releasing those tomorrow. The 25th is tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's the 25th. So we'll see that tomorrow, and we'll go over it once I punch in all the numbers, see how they did. Let's see here. I don't know. Blame it. I think that's how you pronounce your handle. I don't like the Riot deal myself. Yeah, I don't like it either. So if Riot buys Bitfarms, I will sell all my shares and invest in something else. Okay. Let's see, Yoseb, whether this dip bottoms, we will beat the last major chance to get miners cheap. 2 months from now, we will be out of dips below current all-time high. I tend to agree with you. Andre, you too, have a great night. Let's see. Okay. Do you think that the Mt. Gox issue will crash BTC price preemptively and in July? No, because remember, not everybody's going to be dumping their the recipients that are going to be getting it, right? That were the creditors or the people that were supposed to get the Bitcoin at that point. Not all of them will be selling. Some, it's going to take a while for those Bitcoins to be handed out to those people, right? It's going to take a while. It's not going to all happen all at once. You got to make sure that the addresses are correct. All that stuff is kind of buttoned up a little bit there. So it's not going to be all at once. But could that have an impact? I think it might have an impact. I think we saw a little bit of impact today on it as well. But remember, it's only like 8 point something billion right now. That's going to be handed out to owners of that. So it's not that much in the grand scheme of things when you look at it. It's a lot, but look at Bitcoin's market cap right now. It's at what, 1.4 trillion, 1.6 trillion? Not even sure exactly where it's at right now. Let's see. Let's see here. Robbie says, amazing the Riot hate here. LOL, it's business, nothing more. Yeah, I agree. I don't hate them personally for doing this. I just look at my potential returns here. That's where I'm coming from this. Let's see here. Next question here, or comment, I guess. Jason Less needs to focus on his own operations instead of trying to tamper with Bitfarms operations to save his own behind. Yeah, they got to fix their operations there too, right? I've been very vocal about Riot's poor performance here over the last 18 months. I think Riot needs Bitfarms, but Bitfarms does not need Riot at all. Andrea, I don't know if that's the case, to be exact. Riot has plenty of cash. They got the infrastructure to build out. They have everything that they need there. They don't have, the only thing that they're missing really is, like someone has stated, potentially the patents that Bitfarms holds on immersion cooling. And then diversification. They don't have the facilities across multiple countries. So that's a risk there that Riot has, being all in Texas. If something happens in Texas, they're kind of out of business at that point. I wouldn't say out of business, but they're going to be hurting for sure. If Bitcoin falls 50% or 50,000, what percentage do the miners fall? How about CleanSpark? I mean, they will all fall. I mean, today they fell kind of in line with Bitcoin a little bit. I mean, Bitcoin was down it was down 4.6%. And a lot of miners were right around there, a little bit, maybe higher than that. So I would expect the same thing to happen. Let's see here. I feel the market now is going to squeeze shorters. I mean, if they have been shorting, if things start running back up, they definitely will squeeze Bitcoin shorts for sure. David says, later, Seb. Thanks, man. You're very welcome. Yeah, thanks for coming in. Let's see. Andrea says, my vote is against the sale. I'm with you there. I'm leaning that way myself. I've been leaning that way for a long time. Let's see. Will share price hit triple digits at the peak of the merger if the merger happens soon? Triple digits? No. Will the share price hit triple digits at the peak if the merger happens soon? Oh, so will Riot's share price reach triple digits? At that point, we have to reevaluate where Riot could possibly go if they do get the merger and everything else, if it happens quickly here. Right, the big thing is having it happen within the next 3 to maybe 5 months or something like that. If they can pull that off, well, then great. But if they wait and it takes 12 months, 18 months to get this done and over with, we might be in a bear market at that point, right? How much benefit is it at that point? Let's see. David says, we appreciate your time and effort, Seb. Onwards and upwards. Exactly. Onwards and upwards. And you're very welcome. And thank you for coming in. Let's see. Looks like fear of Riot here. No fear. Riot, like I said, I think they can do fantastically by themselves if they can fix their operations. They have the cash, the capital, everything else to get there. There's no fear of Riot. Riot could potentially buy them out, and it's going to be what it's going to be. It's not the way I would like it to play out, but sometimes you don't have a choice in things in the matter. Let's see. When will the big boys like Apple and Nvidia say they have BTC on their books? Then we rip. Oh gosh, Apple is going to be a tough one. I don't know. Apple might be like one of the last ones to hold out, right? Apple usually, when there's something good, they will eventually do something better with it, right? So that might be, I think they might be like the last ones to kind of hold out to put that on their balance sheet. No, we're going to come up with a way new, better way of doing it, potentially. But Nvidia, I would think they would put a little bit on there. I mean, what's stopping them? Any company could put a little bit on them, as long as within reason. But I mean, you got MicroStrategy putting everything into it. Let's see. Do you think Riot will be able to buy Bitfarms? It just all depends on if they can get the board members that they want on there. Can the board members have an impact on the direction of Bitfarms? Right? There's a lot of unknowns, so we'll see. Mark says, Andrea, less Jason, more Ben. Let's see. It appears that AI contracts move the stock more than future hash rate, with some focus on AI. Which companies are best prepared and willing to seek these opportunities? I don't know if that's the case. If you could show me direct examples of that, because I've seen it with recently Iron pumped nicely because of their future hash rate growth. We had Core actually pumped because of the AI thing. Yes, that's true. But that was also the stock was just beaten down so much because of bankruptcy and everything else that it just needed any kind of good news. And they had really great news from CoreWeave. And that kind of blew up. But who else has had a huge benefit on the AI side of things other than Core, really? Everybody else that has come out with huge growth plans and things like that has benefited from that recently. So I don't know if I'm seeing that just yet. Let's see. Ed says, hello, Seb, cut live late. I just noticed that Hive just released some info and numbers. Let's take a look, see what we got. What do we got from Hive, or from, let's see, where do we want to go? Miners, let's take a look if we got anything from Hive that we can discuss tonight. Let's see, Hive. Hive achieves annual revenue. Okay, let's take a look at it here. So it looks like 1 hour ago, news file. Well, this is from 17 hours, but Hive achieves annual revenue of 114 million, adjusted beta of 37.5 million with 2,287 Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Okay. So we'll take a look at this tomorrow when we dive deep into it, and I'll pull all the numbers into my spreadsheets, and we'll see how they've been doing over the last couple quarters and year to date as well on that one. But let's go back here. Let's see here. Sean said, sold 1,000 shares of CleanSpark for Bitfarms today. Yay or nay? Do you think it was a fair play? Depending when you got into CleanSpark. If you got into it early on and you're way up, that might make sense. Maybe take a little profit off of there, put it into Bitfarms, which is more undervalued, I think, right now. So I did something similar to that. I did it with CleanSpark and Iron, right? I sold some CleanSpark shares to get into Iron because I thought Iron was more undervalued and did run up quite nicely. So I think depending when you do it, it is advantageous to do that. Let's see. Just wondering if you were to add miners this week, which ones would it be and the price target? Thanks for the great content. You're very welcome. So I did kind of buy in. I bought Bitfarms more. I still think Bitfarms is more undervalued. So I got into that one. Other than that, I mean, a lot of the miners are down. If you're in the red on any of the miners, I think maybe dollar cost averaging might be prudent. Get the average price down a little bit lower. Now with things coming down a little bit, but if you're still in the green, I mean, look for these kind of dips to get more shares in the companies that you really have a high conviction in. Question: with the 3 members of Riot want to put on a Bitfarms board, are they in already, or can Bitfarms deny them? So Bitfarms, we're gonna have to vote on it. The shareholders will have a vote on it, I believe. Depending how many shares Riot has in controlling interest, things like that, can they make that change potentially? That's going to be the call there. Let's see. In your opinion, who is the GOAT miner in 5 years based on what you see now and future prospects? Not financial advice is wanted. So who's going to be the GOAT in the next 5 years? Oh my gosh. I mean, anything can change here. I mean, just look at CleanSpark, for example. The current GOAT here in the last, basically, what has it been? 2.5 years or 3 years. They came in 2021, where they pivoted to becoming a Bitcoin miner in January of 2021 with 100 petahash or something like that, and now they're second largest market cap, right? So anything is possible with these guys. We could have a new entrant come in, blow everybody out the water. Things could change. But based on what I'm seeing, at least right now, and the historical evidence that I have with them, right, I would say it could be between Iron and CleanSpark right now, between those two guys, I think. But like I said, anything could change. One of these miners does something right, and I mean, they could just take off. So it's tough to say exactly, especially when you're going out 5 years. Let's see. And Nathaniel says, yes, thank you, Seth, for all the alpha. So much value received from your time. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. And you're very welcome. Bitfarms says only 4 directors, so it might be easier for Riot from Anthony Powers today. Yeah, we just took a look at it today also. We saw that there was only 4. If they get rid of the 2 that they have there, they're adding 3. You got 3 against 2. Yeah, that might happen. They may need to get somebody that's... I may have to ask Mike on that one. Mike Alfred. He's on the board there. How would that work? Could Bitfarms get another board member in there? Potentially. I don't know. Let's see. Just to kind of even things out, even the playing field out a little bit. I don't know. Let's see. See, Steve says, sorry, just got in here. Long one, I guess he wanted to say. Seb, yeah, we're going on an hour right now. And I'm catching up to you guys' questions here, so which is good. We might be getting close to being done. Crypto says, do not forget to hit the like button. Let's get him to 150 likes. That'd be wonderful. Thank you. Let's see. Scott says, bought 17 calls on Riot today. It's way oversold. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are getting oversold here. Let's see here. Thanks, Sebastian. I saw your news about CleanSpark preparing to acquire Grid a few days ago. I bought it before the market opened. It rose by more than 100% in just 1 hour, and then I sold it. Nicely timed. I didn't even think about doing that. I didn't think it was. I thought it was just a rumor. So we'll see if there's any truth to that happening. But sometimes rumors do run, and that rumor did run. Let's see. Which miner do you think is more likely to have the Iron CleanSpark run next? Cypher's already had a little bit of a run here. They're fairly valued right now based on my numbers. I think the next one might be, to be honest, again, Bitfarms, I think. I think probably Bitfarms more so. Bitfarms is more undervalued right now than Cypher, than Iron, and all these other guys here, based on just the technicals that we were seeing here. If they can grow their hash rate and fix the issues with the CEO, we can get right off their back, I think it would run pretty well that way. Let's see. Trying to find another question. Yeah, I think we're all kind of like this. I watch the stock price and Bitcoin price is like a crackhead, but don't plan on selling until next year sometime. Yeah, we just want to get that adrenaline hit on Bitcoin price going up and the miners going up. I'm with you there. I'm watching it like a hawk too throughout the day. Let's see. Do you think the folks invested in the miners are typically true Bitcoin, true believers? No, I don't think so. I don't think you have to be a true believer in order to be in Bitcoin miners or anything like that. I think you just have to have a pretty good appetite for risk and being able to hold it, have the stomach to hold, stomach to maybe dollar cost average in when things are going down. And some people just like the volatility in the miners. So that's kind of the way I see things. Your thoughts on Core's and their 12-year HPC contract with CoreWeave? I think this is a great thing for Core, especially when they got out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy here, just within the last 6 months. This is a good sign for them going forward. They are getting $300 million from CoreWeave to help them retrofit the facilities that they do have to a Tier 3 data center, meaning you got redundancy power, you got redundancy cooling, you got redundancy internet, all that stuff. That is not going to go away. That's going to stay with them, right? But CoreWeave is going to come in there and basically put in their machines, so Core Scientific is not having to outlay all that cash to bring in all that infrastructure or the H100s, the servers, everything else into it. They're just doing the infrastructure, and they're hosting the machines for Coatue. So I think it's great. Let's see here. Any take on Annie? I talked about Annie a little bit earlier. Annie doesn't have any infrastructure. They are at like 1.2 exahash right now. They have older generation miners. I honestly don't know how they're going to be able to survive this this next couple, I would say, year or something like that, unless Bitcoin really starts rolling up much higher. But yeah, I just don't know how they're going to do it. It's a tough one on that one. If they had infrastructure, maybe then they could do something, but they don't have any infrastructure. It's everything's being hosted with them. Let's see, when we consider the HPC AI potentials in miners, what is the most important metrics to look at? When you're looking at HPC potential in miners, I mean, I guess it would be how much available megawatts do they have to possibly put into it, right? Also, what are the data centers? Do they have actual data centers? Do they have buildings that are actual buildings, not just these shipping containers retrofitted to be Bitcoin mining facilities, right? And then also, because if you have buildings, you can actually maybe retrofit those buildings to be like a tier 3 data center, whereas if you have a shipping container, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to convert it. Plus, you want all those machines to be as close to each other as possible to have the lowest latency for communication between them, so that way you can get much better improved speeds and everything else with it. So you don't want a bunch of shipping containers all over the place trying to communicate with each other. You want everything in one centralized location if possible. But as far as which ones, I would just say megawatts probably, what's available to them. What's the cost of electricity there as well? Where are they located maybe as well, because you want something that's going to have high-speed internet access to it as well. So that's important there. What are your thoughts on buying Grid at these prices for short-term trade, given its momentum up now? I mean, I don't do momentum trades or short-term trades or anything like that. I look at companies that are basically beaten down. I want to get into them before they really pop. So based on that, I really can't tell you. Will it go up further or will it continue to go down? I don't know. And then she's asking, is it considered overvalued now? Grid, I would have to look at their numbers, see where they are, but I'm guessing just based on the run-up that they've had here recently. Let's see here. They were probably at the price they were for a reason. They were like, 40 some cents, 59 cents. They've run up here to a peak of $1.68. Where are they at now? $1.38. So basically they're 100% up, more or less. I don't know. I don't know where that's going to go up. I think we're going to be coming down here on Grid over the next couple of days maybe. But that's just my little thought on it. Let's see. Hello, do you have plans to sell cores before ones go in and rebuy after? I don't. No, not right now. I bought into it pretty low. Not pretty low. I got it into like at $6 or something like that. But I'm holding on to it. We'll see where it goes. If it dips, I may buy more. Let's see. Stay strong, all going to be a bumpy ride until the promised land night. Yeah, good night. And yeah, I've been saying this for the last 2 years. It's a bumpy ride with the miners. It's never an easy, nice ascend up, right? It's always up and down, up and down, up and down, and you get these crashes and things like that. So it's always going to be not a enjoyable ride. I mean, you gotta have something for this to be in it for a long period of time, because we do have days where you're down, 20%, sometimes 15%, whatever it might be. But then we have days where we're up 10%, 15% as well. So you got to take the good with the bad on it and write it out a little bit. Let's see here. Hi, Sebastian. Can you discuss Hive? I think they had a quarter earnings released after hours today. Yes, we will talk about that one in tomorrow's video. It's too late. I haven't pulled in the data yet for them, so we will take a look at that tomorrow. So I'll come back tomorrow around this time. What time do I usually do? Like between 7 and 9 o'clock at night is when I try to do these shows. Andrea says, yeah, it's hard to time the market. Yeah. Do you think any particular Bitcoin ASIC manufacturer is shifting their designs moving forward to optimize retirement of those rigs into HPC? Those rigs into HPC. See if I understand the question. Do you think any particular Bitcoin ASIC manufacturer is shifting their designs moving forward to optimize retirement of those rigs into HPC? Well, none of the Bitcoin miners are getting into the HPC, right, where they're doing GPUs or anything like that. And then, let's see. Optimize retirement of those rigs into HPC. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think anybody's doing that. I think the ASIC miners that are doing ASICs, or ASIC manufacturers are doing ASICs, they have probably roadmaps going all the way for the next 2-3 years, if not further out. I don't think they will be doing things like that. Okay. All right. I caught up with all your guys' questions. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in here. I greatly appreciate you spending the time here late this night here, or late at this night. How do I want to say this? Gosh, it's late. At this late of an hour, I guess you could say at night, is what I meant to say. But, today it kind of reminds us a little bit that with Bitcoin, we always will have volatility in place. It may not be as bad as it has been in the past. I think the volatility is going to get a little bit weaker going forward as we have more and more adoption, but we will still have these kind of days where we have a 5-8% pullback on Bitcoin before things settle down. And going forward, things may get a little bit less volatile, but they're still going to be volatile, I think. And we're still very early on in this cycle, so just be patient out there. Touch grass whenever you can. Go outside, get some fresh air. Don't be staring at the screen the whole time. I try to do that every day with my kids. Go outside, play with them, go on a bike ride, whatever it has to be. But I can't stare at the screen all the time. I think I would go crazy at that point. So just a little advice there. But nonetheless, thank you so much, everyone, for coming in. Greatly appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful night. We'll get into Hive tomorrow. We'll see what else happens tomorrow in the markets from the miners as well. And then we're getting pretty close to the end of the month already. It's like, oh my gosh, June's almost done and over with. We're in July. Summer's going to be gone before we know it, which is kind of sad. But it is what it is. That's life. Okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.